Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a very short agenda today. God bless you.
Thank you, thank you.
The first item is the shopping assistance program. We were going to have a presentation from Kelly and Marissa, but Marissa is home sick today. So what we were going to have a presentation, so I'll just kind of describe it briefly. The shopping program is a grant we got from the county that pays for the drivers. It's a home program where people can put their orders in online. We do it a couple ways. They can go to the senior center and work with Marissa on the computers there, or they can do it from home, or someone can go to their house and help them do it. And that's what we were going to try to show in the presentation, is exactly how to do it. They can go to some supermarkets, they can go to Walmart, they can go to Target and put their orders in, and then we have drivers that will go and pick it up and then bring it home for them. So it's a program that we just started. I know Gene Woods is involved in helping with the deliveries, and it's been going pretty well, but we want to, expand on it. So that's why we were hoping to do a presentation just to show everybody how it's involved, and hopefully we'll get to do that maybe after the holidays, just to show everybody.
I was going to say, can we reschedule?
Yeah, so we'll see when we can get that done. But it's in existence now, it's going on, and if anyone has any interest, they can call Kelly or Marissa at the senior center. And actually, that's it for the agenda itself. We're gonna go around the table, and I'm gonna start. The first item, Amber and I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with Adrian Anglevy from Sunset Beach. Sunset Beach, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, when the Krauses sold the beach to the town, one of the conditions was that Sunset Beach would always have the option to put a dock in for the use of the commercial property. It's deeded into the property for whoever owns the business going forward. So we've always known that. And, we knew that it was inevitable sooner or later would happen. Well, Sunset Beach had decided they'd like to put a dock in. Christina, can you put the map up? Okay, I'm gonna. Guess I can do it this way. Can you show me, or how do we do this?
You can do this.
Okay, so this is Sunset Beach here. So when the Krauses originally sold it, the beach ended here, okay? So the deed says they can put a dock right here. But since then, this is going back 20 years, the town bought these parcels. So now we own everything. So if Sunset Beach were allowed to put the dock where the deed says, they'd put it here, and it would cut the beach in half. So it does a couple things. One, it cuts the beach in half, but it also, the Public Works puts buoys out here to cut all the boat traffic off. So if we put the dock here, we would have to make a channel here to get in. So it would be very dangerous. So in talking with Adrian and the people from the beach, we asked, is it possible to put the dock down at this end over here? And they said, absolutely, we'll work with the town any way we have to. So this is what we're talking about now. Stephen, the town attorney, said it might be a little bit involved, because to do that, what was the term?
Well, the public trust document.
Because it's public trust, we might have to go to the state legislature to do that, because it's parkland. I spoke with Fred Thiel, and he said two things. One, normally that would be the case, but because it's the same parcel of land, that might not be the case, and he's looking into that. But even if it is the case, he's the chair of that committee, and he doesn't see it as any problem at all. So we're hoping to do it over by the over where the pavilion is, between the bathroom and the pavilion over there. It's a matter of exactly where the electric goes under the ground for the light lines that come over.
Yeah, that was gonna consider that, the
Yeah.
light lines being the key element. there.
Again, the application hasn't been put in before the WMAC yet. Adrian asked if we can just put this out for discussion to make sure everybody understands what we're doing. It's not a pier. It's not gonna be like, Claudio's. It's strictly, for boats to drop off and pick up their customers. Now we have the little business that we allowed. The launch service. And, Sunset Beach feels they would prefer to do that on their own, rather than, be at the whim of somebody else. So, again, they're entitled to it. They're going out of their way to work with us to put it where it would be best for the town. And just as an aside, Sunset Beach has just celebrated 25 years. I was here when they opened originally, and I always thought this place is a fad. It's, going to last a couple of years and be gone. And every year it seems to get bigger. And every year I see how important they are to the town. A lot of people don't like the atmosphere and what it is, but they are very generous to the town. They become a very important part of our community. They sponsor a number of things. They help out with the Lions Club. This year, Brian and I asked them if they would consider paying half of the cost for the bathroom down at the beach, and which they agreed to right away. And at the end of the year, they told Brian they'd pick up the whole cost. So it didn't cost the town anything for the use of the bathroom down at the beach this year. So again, they're entitled to this. They're working with us to do it. And Adrian, did you want to say anything about the project?
Jerry and all, thank you for taking the time. No, I think you said it all. It's for us important, and we work with you just any way we can to make this happen and make it happen in a safe way. And that's why we agree with the town suggestion to have the dock on the northern part of Creation Beach. So this way the public land will not be cut in half, and there would be no need for channel. But I think, we'll do it with you. We'll work with you. And it's been a pleasure working and being bigger part of the community year after year. That I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, anything else? I mean, now it's just a matter of going, putting the application in with the WMAC.
Well, again, if we can get the public trust issue worked
And
out.
Fred's working on that as we speak.
Yeah,
How does this going to flow with the dock moratorium? Right?
we're proposing a dock moratorium.
So,
So we're gonna have to navigate this issue.
okay.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
4 months with DC.
What's that?
4 months with DC.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a 6 month.
it's going to take them 4 months at least
Yes.
to get through DEC protocols. By then, our moratorium will be winding down.
Taking me 2 years.
Right,
All right, if
but-
you're already getting,
But we also incorporated into it a variance process. So they
Right.
could, if for some reason
Yeah.
they wanted to come for the 6 months,
yeah.
they can do so and make an application for ownership exemption.
So our recommendation would be start the process.
Start the process.
Start the process.
Yes, and then also, again, if this is deemed an alienation of parkland, there is I know Fred Deal's on the committee, but it is a process and it takes a little bit of time. We'd have to survey the area to be exchanged. We'd have to appraise the value of both areas because they'd have to give up their easement, right, in exchange for that. We'd have to adopt a municipal home rule request resolution, and 2/3 of the board, as constituted at the time, have to approve that. We would need state sponsors from both the Senate and the Assembly to co-sponsor it. It must pass the legislature and it must be signed by the governor. There is another way we could potentially go and bypass the alienation process if we made it a revocable license versus an easement, which I don't think Sunset Beach would go for. But other than that, Yeah, so we'll see what Fred says about it, because I don't know if it's technically on the same parcel, because these parcels are owned, we own it outright versus the parcel of land that they have an easement on. I don't know if it's really the same parcel, but again, if he deems it so,
Okay.
there they are.
All right, like I said, he's aware of it, he's working on it. We're meeting with him next week, but I'll try to call him before then, just to make sure.
There is absolutely no doubt that the location is the key here. Having it, where the easement actually is right now, aesthetically would be horrible. Safety-wise would be horrible. You could never ensure that people wouldn't swim from one area to the other, right through that area. It would be horrible to have the dock in that, where the current easement is, that it just would not flow. Having it at the north end makes all the sense in the world. Having control over the control of the boat traffic and running your own business as an extension of your own business and being responsible for bringing those people in and out to your business makes all the sense in the world, as opposed to having a third party doing it. So I think for all those reasons, as long as we stay a good, distance away from the cable and we stay a good distance away, from the setback from the neighboring property, that to me would be the only location that you could really entertain with any sound, strong support, I think.
And just,
It's a no-brainer if that's the case.
yeah, just so you understand trust doctrine and the method behind the madness is that, the state is very protective of areas that are open to the general public and whatever. And whenever there's budget crunches, the first places to be sold would be parkland for municipalities. So they're overprotective of it, so they have this oversight over any transactions regarding parkland. So that's why you have to go through this process. And we don't have any statutory authority inherently to do it ourselves. So you have to go through state process.
The other thing we have to consider is, it's going to be a dock that's utilized 4 months a year. The other 8 months, dock is going to be just there. So we're going to have to think about how you're going to secure that dock, or are they open for the idea that other people can use it during the 8 months? That's something that has to be considered, because they're only going to use it from beginning of May, June, July, August, maybe a little bit into September when they close. So it's something to think about during the off-season of how you would control the use of that dock, in terms of having a gate type of thing, or, with signage and things of that nature, unless, while you meet, it's something to consider, would people be allowed to go out and fish off of it or something? Since it is a private dock at that point,
Right.
That's something you'd have to discuss with them.
Okay, Steve? Okay. Adrian, thanks very much. As soon as I hear back from Fred, I'll be in touch with you. But in the meantime, I would ask you to have Jack Costello start the application process.
Will do. Thank you all very, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're confident that Jack Costello will get the survey to show where the.
Yeah, he's already on it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Meg, would you like to start going around the table?
Sure. So we had a group from the ETP Grant come out from the Island Institute. 2 members that we've been working with, Jamie and Kate, came out and did a tour of the island. And so we looked at all the municipal buildings. We went to the 2 ferry terminals. We went to the recycling center. And all of this was to look at our infrastructure to see how we could become more resilient, how we could have safety redundancies for things like a long-term power outage. Because when it comes to how we receive our power, we're susceptible to 2 things. One would be, something happening to the underwater cables that connect us to the mainland. And the other would be something happening further up on Long Island that cuts out power to the whole East End. And so we were looking at things that would help us during longer periods of outage, maybe not just like 3 or 4 days of storm, but things that we can do as a town to have more security. So to make like microgrids is the way they refer to them. So for example, the school is our emergency center. So if we ever had a huge event and we needed to shelter people, that would be the location. And so we have all the generators and things necessary there, but they're looking at it to take one step further so that you have safety backups to your safety backups. So looking at potential solar on the roof that would help back up the generator to prolong the life of the generator and extend the use of fuel so that you have a longer period of time where you can take care of everybody. So kind of looking at our infrastructure in that sense, also looking at some of the things that we're struggling with at the moment, like managing our brush. Is there a way that we can use our brush and convert that into fuel somehow? So the whole point of the grant is it's an information seeking grant. It's not necessarily a funding grant. And so what it does is it connects us with experts in the field. It will connect us to someone in one of the national laboratories who can work with the island to look at our infrastructure to see what we can do to be more resilient and sustainable. So it was a very interesting meeting. They really got to see a lot of the island. They went to Mishamik. And they see a lot of the potential, the things that we've been talking about. So I think it was a really great first meeting. And we have, another meeting this evening or this afternoon at 4:00, just with the ETP grant. And that's when we find out what lab we're going to be working with. So this is going to be about a year-long process, maybe a little longer, just for information seeking and collecting data and things like that. One of the things I found interesting was when they came and they looked at the CAPS landfill area, it's a hole, but it's actually south-facing concave. So it's kind of like stadium seating for solar panels. So they were like, that's actually very interesting and has potential. So just kind of brainstorming sessions is really what we did. And so they can get a better idea of what we have and what we're working with. As far as we stand right now, we're in pretty good shape. The chief has a great relationship with PSE&G and the highway department, and everybody works really well to make sure that should something happen, we're back up and running very quickly. Really what we're looking at is like longer term outages and things of that nature. And also working on improving the consistency and quality of the electric that we're working with, because we do notice there are certain parts of the island where there's voltage fluctuations and power surges and things like that. So if we can get a more stable power supply, then you won't have a lot of fried electronics or, glitchy power. So those are some of the things that they're looking into. We also mentioned that we're going to have changes to how we manage our land, like our C&D and things like that, with Brookhaven changing the way they're doing things. So they're looking for ways to kind of turn our waste into energy. So kind of exploring all different options. It's really just a massive brainstorming session at this point, but it has some cool potential. And what they'll do is really set us up with kind of like a game plan that then the town can choose what things to move on. And it kind of lays out how to apply for grants for the different things and kind of gets your foot in the door for funding. So I think it's a pretty cool program. So I think it'll be fun as we go through it. That was my big thing last week. And then the Repair Cafe was fun. So Kyle Karen is working on a Repair Cafe, which is sort of a session where people come and bring things and they get fixed. And this first one she did was in conjunction with the clothing swap. So it was like a clothing repair cafe. So people brought things that were missing buttons or had tears in them or needed hemming, things like that. And so the goal was to teach people how to do these repairs themselves so that they can prolong the life of their clothing, they can save things that have sentimental value, but also to teach them a new skill and to help promote reusing objects instead of disposing of them. So the first one was the 24th, 25th, and 26th with the clothing swap, and she's going to try to do it again with the next round of clothing swap. So it's kind of consistently just pair together really nicely. She's going to be doing another one in the near future, maybe in January, I don't know the exact date yet, for small appliances. So people can bring their appliances and can try to work together to fix them. And so the repair cafes are kind of showing up all over, not just, the country, but the world. And it's becoming more of a thing. And so what's cool about this is that it links us into that entire network. So you find out at the end of the month how many things got repaired as opposed to thrown out, and some of the reasons why people repair things. So you become part of a larger database, a larger statistic. So it's kind of cool. And so she's going to be continuing that. This is her first one, and it's just getting started. So she'll be looking for people to volunteer to help on certain ones. I know I had someone say, hey, if you do one for bicycles, I'd be glad to help out. And, maybe come spring, that would be a really great, repair cafe. Bring your bike and we'll try to fix it. So that's something that just got started that I think was a lot of fun to participate in. And then the other thing I've got going on is the comp plan. So we had a meeting on Monday. We're going to have another meeting tomorrow, Thursday at 6:30, and we're going to be talking about the natural resources and water quality chapter. And we're just slowly chugging through that. And I think that's all I have for now. I think I'm good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that on Saturday, December 9th at 4 o'clock at the town's community center, we are celebrating the life of Brian Sherman, 34-year career.
It's your life.
It's,
Can we call it career?
we will have the ramp put in by then to make sure that Brian gets up that ramp, but yes,
Jim, say.
Saturday is till 9.
yes.
Fine.
It will be at 4 PM on the 9th. And surely everybody's invited, but I'm opening up to the public. All the town employees will be invited, so hopefully we'll have a nice turnout for Brian. He deserves a well-deserved, hardworking, immaculate career for 34 years with the number of sick days you can count on probably one hand in 34 years. So working as a laborer right up to the superintendent and commissioner of two very large departments here on the island, the guy has done an amazing job and is well respected by not only people in his 3 departments, but also by the town board and the people that live here in Shelter Island. Brian, just a great career. So hopefully come on out and help celebrate that day. During the Thanksgiving vacation, when I flew out to LA, I brought with me the 88-page document on the Shelter Island Hazard Mitigation Plan. And I just got off the phone with Jim and congratulated him. I had never honestly read the entire 88-page document, but I've reduced it to 2 pages in my notes that I'm going to share with capital planning, because the one thing I've found that it's amazing how much we have done as part of the mitigation plan. The mitigation plan, I would like to say we've gotten a really good jump. And I think, as Amber takes over as a supervisor and also as the chairperson for capital planning, that this is something that we need to look even beyond the next 2 or 3 years. These are situations that, it's going to be decades of planning to get through that mitigation plan. It's very extensive, but it is all about how we're going to address sea rise and climate change, effectively. We have tons of roads that we'll need to work on, and elevating roads and bridges and causeways and all kinds of things. These are not simple little projects. To the point that I'm even, when I go across the street for the last couple of weeks and watch Nick work on the ramp going into the community center, I thought it was going to be a quick little ramp. I said, oh my God, the thing is an engineering marvel. Guy is so talented in what he does, but it'll be a very good thing. So we're going to make some big headway, I think, hopefully in capital planning over the next decade. And the last thing I have, if Christina would just throw that up on the screen, I'd like to just, I'm winding down with the conic estuary. I went over some of these notes, but I want to highlight a couple of things to the community. First item on that list up there is we still have that $500 incentive for any homeowner that wants to offset the expense of installing green infrastructure on their properties. This includes rain barrels, rain gardens, native gardens. So if you're thinking about doing this in the next year, which I am thinking about doing the same thing, you can apply for this. In the past year, this year alone, over 13,000 square feet of rain gardens and native plants have been installed so far, receiving this kind of money. So if people are interested in it, the applications will be available through the Conic Estuary Partnership. The second item up there is the PEP has hosted 9 in-person events so far in 2023. Quite a few of them, about 4 or 5 of them were jointly sponsored by New York State DEC, EJ, which is the Environmental Justice. There were fishing trips primarily for young Hispanic families living in the Riverhead area. They also they taught the kids, about fishing, the importance of catch and release, how important the conics are to the community. So it's really a very good program. They also did an international cleanup day, and they also have a series of 4 winter walks. So if you're not doing anything during the winter, I listed the dates there, December 2nd, you can go online and see them. Cedar Point County Park in East Hampton, January 5th, Tuckahoe Woods in Southampton, February 3rd. This is a pretty good one. I've been in there before. It's amazing. The Cranberry Bog Nature Preserve in Riverhead. It's pretty extensive. It's a great place to go. That's on the 3rd on a Saturday. March 1st on a Friday, they have the Wolf Preserve in Southold. And they are doing, they did a thing with the Ross School. I sent this over to Brian on Earth Day. The Alewife Walk, it's a day in the life of Peconic Estuary. It takes you right up through the spawning areas, up the Peconic River. It's pretty amazing what they've done there. Spawning was a difficult problem until they put these series of bypasses around these dams to make that possible. The third thing is, I sent this off again to Brian. Community Science of Long Island. This is an annual educational webinar series that is sponsored by the community of Science Long Island. And there's a series of webinars. They hosted one this past 2 weeks ago on November 14th on sea turtles. So if you're interested in sea turtles, you could have gone on there and learned all you wanted to know right online. Upcoming, we have one on December 6th on birds. We have one in January 18th on seals. They have one on February river herring update. March 5th, they have one on flooding and storms, which is interesting. And on April 9th, they have one on monarch butterflies. They also have programs for other programs. One of the things the town board might be interested in, I called her this morning on this, is March 30th. It's the Living Shoreline Visit. It's a chance to go on a little field trip to Shorefront Park in Patchogue. It's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Got to register for that trip in advance. But that's something with the emphasis on natural shorelines that somebody might want to, think about going. I did send all that science stuff over to the 3 science teachers at school, so I heard back from them there. This morning, they were supposed to host a program which did not fly from 10 to 12 on Peconic Bay scallops. At least I couldn't get in there. The TRC meeting was scheduled for this morning. That TRC is, I think it's a technical review committee. It's the results of the 2023 CCE, that's the Cornell Cooperative Extension Monitoring, and the results of the MADL monitoring. MADL stands for Marine Animal Disease Lab. So they've done collected a lot of data on scallops. So I was hoping to get some of that information if they did, and I just didn't get through to it. I had trouble getting online with that, and so did other people. I'll get the information on that and make sure that we get that to, especially to our fishermen, which would be important. The USGS transport model, that's very user-friendly. It's been in the making for years now, trying to get this model together. It's now finalized. As Joyce Novak, who's in charge of PEP, said, it is the best tool it can be. So if you're interested in that particular thing, which maybe Joe Fenora might be interested in, that will be up and running probably by the spring of 2024. Next item 6, is on PEP marshy plans. It's a shift from the individual marsh plans, which I told you about the small scale, to much larger marsh complexes. So this is a perfect opportunity when you look around Shelter Island at these very large acreage kinds of things that we might be able to be able to restore some of these plans, some of these areas. So it's really something that you really want to think about. Number 7 is the Shoreline Adaptation Initiative. Their first meeting is going to be held on January 24th. I think Meg is going with Joe. They're the 2 Shelter Island reps. I don't know if you knew that, Meg, but Joe definitely knows. I think your name was thrown in there. You'll be one of 5 East End towns in Brookhaven, which will be at that meeting. The meeting is, and I have this all handed out for you. You have to write it down. I have this all printed out. It'll be reviewed. What they did when they came here on the meeting that they had here with us in early November, is we reviewed the town process on town codes, town permitting process, and identifying hurdles. They'll go through those very quickly. They'll also talk about a legal amending of town codes, which is something that we're very interested in pursuing. They'll identify speakers to present case studies, and they'll talk about the hurdles with the DEC, which is something that we share that, Brian, with everybody on the East End. So it's a problem that needs more attention. So you need people like Fred Thiel and everybody involved in this to say, what's going on there? We need this corrected, because it's very frustrating to get projects done. And a perfect example is Camden Dock. It just takes way too long to get things done. So hopefully that meeting will take place. At our meeting that we had here, that was back in October, we had, and they highlighted this at this meeting, Shelter Island was the only town of the 6 of us that had all of the players in. We had a member of the CAC there, Howard. We had members of the WAC. James Eklund was there. I think Al Loretta was there. We had the planning board there. Ian was there. We had town engineer. We had Meg was there, Larson. We had building department was there. Town board members. Brian Sherman was there. Alice Dupree was there for the Monantic Creek group. Greg Tona representing WAC as well. It was a very productive meeting, and I think it showed the interest that Shelter Island has on this particular topic. So Amber and I were talking about this earlier this morning. I don't see people voluntarily taking bulkheads down, like along Peconic Avenue, because they put them up for a reason, to protect their backyards. But I do think, and I called Joyce this morning, I didn't get to speak to her directly, but I will follow up on this. I would love to visit, or have the future town board be able to visit, along with the town engineer, areas where they've been successful with natural shorelines, and show me what's, we have Mishomic, and Mishomic, in certain areas, Mishomic has been very successful. In other areas along the northern side of Mishomic facing east, the eastern side facing east, there's been some erosion. But that's things you can live with in those areas. But I think we have to spend more time in looking into natural shorelines, and especially as it applies to something like Real Point. And then you have the New York State open space thing. This is something I wanted to make sure that we get a hold of our Gordon's group and see that there are literally $1 billion out there in New York State. Now, this is how the Pine Barrens was purchased, through these massive amounts of money that were available. There's more money now available than ever before. We need to identify areas on Shelter Island, such as, down near Dickerson Creek, the properties that we were looking at purposely purchasing. Maybe there's additional monies out there. We don't have to tap into our existing CPF funds. We can actually go in there and get some real monies to be able to buy up those properties. Now is the time. So I want to emphasize the point that this is something that you really have to spend some time looking at within the next few months. This is important. Kevin McDonald and Bob DeLuca, who is the president of the East End, are the people in charge of this area. I know Kevin McDonald very, very well. So I just said, getting a piece of the pie. Timing is critical. Need to make recommendations. December, January, maybe the early parts of February. The final reports are going in March 2024. We're going to have a lot of time on this. So I will check with Joyce on this a little bit more closely, and maybe give Kevin McDonald a call and find out whether we can still submit some of this. But maybe we need to bring Gordon in and his committee and the CPF in and see if we can locate, do we have some of these properties on the Causeway, everything else? Man, we could jump on all of these properties, because these are all properties that kind of fit into this category right here. The last one was Nick Ganley. Nicola Peter Ganley, excuse me, and Nicola Loda's office, the $1.25 million grant for the municipal wastewater. I do have a phone call into him. We need to follow up on that on two things. Number one, can that, when do you think the House is going to vote on that? They were in a state of flux because they didn't have a budget. So until the budget is actually finalized by the federal government and the House votes on this money is kind of locked. But it is over $1 million, $1.25 million. It'd be nice to be able to have access to this money. And the bigger thing was, do we have the flexibility if the town decides that they're not going to revisit the municipal wastewater treatment plant issue? Can we transfer that into the water issue and bringing water to the municipal buildings? And if we can't, how long can we put that for? How long can we put that off for? It's just too much money sitting out there to not be able to use it for some definite need. So, Amber, you have a pretty good hold on Nick. You know him very, very well, so you can follow through on that as far as that's concerned. All right. So, my plan is to take a few months off after I get off the board, and then I'm thinking about joining the Citizens Advisory Committee for PEP. And I hopefully will be able to follow through on this and act as somewhat of a liaison, because I'm kind of interested about this kind of stuff. Pushing this stuff forward a little bit really does interest me. And I enjoy working with Joyce and the group there. We have a good relationship. So,
Did your wife approve that?
she's not on, she doesn't watch Channel 10. So I can say this, I don't anybody tell her what I just said, but that's just between you and I.
Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Amber?
All right, West Neck Water Board met 2 Fridays ago, and I think the big thing to mention from that meeting is that Suffolk County Water Authority is going to do a mailing to remind people that their service lines are their responsibility. So prior to Suffolk County Water Authority putting in the meters are in at the street now, as opposed to they used to be in houses, basements. The access was always an issue. And it's always been the case that the homeowner was responsible from the main line at the street to their homes. But what was happening is at times there were leaks that would occur on the property, and those would go undetected because the meter wasn't picking up until you got into the house.
Oh, yeah.
So now when there are leaks, people are starting to experience all of a sudden a spiked bill because they had a leak that they weren't aware of. So Suffolk County Water Authority wants to just remind everybody that it is their responsibility, that they will be billed, unlike in the past. So they need to be, aware of what's going on, keep an eye on things. And so
They did give that 30-day moratorium, by the way, for billing.
yes.
So that if you discovered your bill spiked, they gave you a 30-day moratorium to say, hey, listen, you will honor, you don't have to pay that extra $700 because of leak. But after that 30 days, you're responsible. It's now,
Yes.
fix it now, get it done,
Yes.
and we won't charge you.
Yeah, they will, they are going to, work with people, but just to be aware of it, and also, less water will be lost.
Right.
Less waste.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
That, just so everybody understands, that was treated water that they were losing. wasn't it?
Yes, yes, treated water. And then just from the website committee meeting, just that, find where I am, my notes in here. It's, the website's moving along. I won't get into the boring details, but we should, February work session is when we should have a walkthrough for the public to see how the new website's working and how to do account subscriptions. So that if you want to sign up for notifications on different updates, on different topics, there'll be a way to say, oh, I'm interested in anything that has to do with community housing. I'm interested with anything that has to do with wastewater. So things are moving along in the right direction. We're happy about that. And that's all that I had.
EJ?
No, I don't have anything. There were 2 meetings, but I did make it.
Steven?
Nothing.
Amber? No. Good. Brian, you have anything for us? Any news on
CASA?
projects?
The building,
Yeah.
I submitted the last piece of paperwork needed for the demo permit for that, so I'm expecting that.
Did
Fairly?
PSE and G show up yet?
the power is off the house, I got the letter of disconnect,
Mhm.
so we're ready to go.
Great.
Great,
All right.
very good.
Good. Okay, anybody in the audience have anything for us? Sandra O'Connor?
Hi, this is for Amber. What's the status of the fire department tax exempt application?
I don't know, because that is fire department, and I'm the treasurer for the fire district. So if you reach
Who
out
would I
to,
ask?
ask Mike Johnson. He is the secretary for the fire department as well as the district. So he would be able to, I'm not even sure who the treasurer. I think Dave Austin is.
I think it's Dave Austin.
But yeah, check with him.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
just to dovetail on that, so there was condition precedents to make it a not-for-profit, and that was having a public hearing in the village and public hearing with the town, and that was accomplished. So, yeah, you would have to check with the fire district to see where they are.
Fire department.
Fire department, see where they are on that.
Sandra, I think Dave Austin would be the one, I just think he's sort of taking the lead on it. And he's also easiest to get in touch with because he has a town email.
Right, right.
Steve
from the-
Austin. Yeah, from
planning.
the committees, yeah. So,
Right, okay.
so start with him. I think that would save you some time.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Julie, you good?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Chief, you got anything for us?
No, Supervisor, I do not.
Okay, if that's it, I'm gonna make a motion, we adjourn, go into executive session to talk about litigation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thanks, everybody.